Hello, everyone. Blind Metal Gamer here, along with the lovely and vivacious Kaira Super Saiyan. What is up, Kaira?
Hey, Blind, good to be back. Today we are talking about all things school.
Yep, it is back to school, and it's time to learn the golden rule, baby. And today we're going to talk everything back to school. So, Kyra, I'm going to let you kick it off, and you can share your first memory, story, or whatever. Go.
I remember being really excited to go to school because, it was a new town. We had just moved. I was excited to make new friends. And then my butt gets in the classroom, as any 5-year-old would do. I'm like, I want my mommy. It's not like I'd never been to school before. I'd been to preschool, but I don't know. 5-year-old Kyra did not like the first day of kindergarten. And I remember getting in trouble once for eating my snack before snack time because I was so hungry. Kyra was a bit of a wild 5-year-old.
Hey, now, all right, now for me, Blind Metal Gamer, school was a bit different. As you all know, and those who have listened to the podcast in the past, know I went to a school for blind and low vision students, and it was in mine and Kyra's neck of the woods. But the difference was, as opposed to your traditional public school, you didn't get to go home every day. You had to live there.
Yeah.
And so I went up that Sunday, and I was, 5, so 5-year-old blind metal gamer. I want to play Nintendo and watch wrestling. Anyway, so I got up there with my folks, and I registered because you had to register on the Sunday before, and then you would go and start classes the next day. For about a week, I blubbered and blobbered like a baby because I wanted to be home.
Sounds like me in kindergarten.
I didn't want to be there, but when I got into my groove and started making friends and just really had a good experience, it all
Yeah.
just clicked. But that first initial experience of being away from home and being in a situation where I wasn't around the family, I wasn't, it was in a new environment and I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Had to adjust pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that was my first school experience.
Yeah, I do remember though that preschool, half of kindergarten, and all of first and second grade were really cool because I got to stay later because my mom worked for the schools. She was my afternoon preschool teacher for the majority of 1 year of preschool, and I got to go to bonus preschool at another preschool because she would substitute at another preschool. She became a teacher's aide when I was halfway through kindergarten due to some personal reasons that we can talk about in another episode. And then first and second grade, she worked in the front office of the school. So then I got to hang out with all the other kids whose parents worked in the school, which we had a few, surprisingly. And I got to be one of the after school kids. Your girl Kyra got to be kind of cool in the early days.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I went to a school, again, preschool with disability focused, which was a good thing. Now, I'm going to talk about, um, as I got older with
Yeah.
school and elementary and middle, it was the same routine. I would go register, I would get my schedules. Now, it would be, by this time, I was still going to the same school, the blind school. And I was pretty much used to it. I was in my groove doing my thing. And, 1 year I remember distinctly, I believe I was in the 8th grade. I was in, I just gotten, got my schedule, and me and all my buddies were at dinner at the food service building at the school. And we were eating hamburgers. And these hamburgers would bounce. We always called them bouncy burgers.
Yeah.
And I would take one of those hamburgers, and I would flavor it up with like 4 or 5 things. Yeah, I would get this many things of mayo, 4 or 5 things of mayonnaise, right? And
Right.
just smother that burger to death, and I would gulp it down. And surprisingly, I don't know where they got their burgers or how they seasoned them, but they were good and spicy, good and flavorful. Um, mm.
Yeah.
And and we were talking about this one teacher we had who we all dreaded because she was so strict. No nonsense, no frills. I'm gonna do a name drop and a shout out real quick. If Mrs. Creasy is listening to this, I want to give you a shout out for being a very good teacher throughout not only my life, but you know, throughout other kids' life at the KSB middle school and elementary school levels. So, Miss Creasy, if you're listening to this one, shout out to you.
Yeah.
You were awesome. You were a bit strict, but hey, that was good because it prepared me for the real world. Although at that time I didn't like it. It was that situation of, we'll get to this in a bit, having being told the way it is, whether you want to hear it or not. Did you ever have any teachers like that, Kyra, that would just tell it like it is, and you whether you wanted it or not?
I mean, sometimes, but I was so emotionally immature in school that I got held back in third grade, and that I just breezed through school with be, because I was smart, but I also had the emotional maturity of probably a fifth grader through middle and high school. I mean, I had to learn the hard way after school how the real world was gonna work. I learned very quickly, hey, you can't just not do your homework. You can't just not check on your assignments. That's not how shit works. Sure, it'll
Mm-hmm.
work in middle and high school. College? No, no. But
No, 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 no. That's a different beast.
I was also, but you got to remember, I was the disabled kid in school. I had learning disabilities. I was autistic. I was in special ed collaborative classes. People, I really think, I mean, yes, I had people that were looking out for me, and yeah, I had some tough love, but not enough to where I could succeed. I mean, people didn't prepare me and say, "Hey, you need to take tougher classes to prepare you for college." They just put me in what was easy to work with my disability and my skills, and I thrived. But that's a whole nother can of worms, dude.
Yeah, I know. I can kind of relate to that because after years of going to the school for the blind that I mentioned,
Yeah.
I wanted a change.
Yeah.
Stupid weather. Anyway, so I went to a public school, and this was again the experience was as far as academia. I didn't. It was almost like, okay, we're gonna put him in these classes where blind middle gamer will thrive, and they tried me in a AP algebra, but it didn't work out, and they
I
put
didn't
me
even
in
get to
a.
take AP. I
I
never
tried
did.
it. I tried it, but it didn't work. So they put me in a personal finance thing, and I just did my thing. It was just a matter of get you in, get you out. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, so do you have any memories about maybe like any funny stories about your high school years?
Um, I was the kind of kid that always did choir, always did art. I did JROTC. High school is where I really came to my own, and I really realized what I was good at in school. I would I the classes where I would truly get challenged would be choir class and art class. I would push my limits, learn how to be better in those classes. And I did theater. I did a few stage productions in school. Nothing big, but roles that would suit me. Um, and I would go to every school dance, even if I never had a date. But JROTC was what really got me more balanced in high school. I initially did it to get out of PE, and I liked the discipline, the structure that came with it. It gave me enough discipline in my life to keep my emotions in check in school. Because when I was a JROTC kid, it gave me the confidence to stand up to the bullies that made me scream and cry every fucking day in 7th grade. Oh my God, I was bullied for everything in middle school. Why, Mel Gamer? I do not recommend being a teenage girl in middle school. I had braces, and blossoming into becoming a woman was not fun for me. I don't want to traumatize any of our female
Listeners
or born female viewers.
or listeners. Anyway,
Yeah,
but yeah, you don't got to worry about Blind Metal Gamer going through that. But what Blind Metal Gamer experience was a little different. Yeah, I got bullied, but I got kind of a funny story. There was this one bully who's going to remain nameless because we don't name drop here on this show.
yeah,
And this individual gave me a bunch of shit. Okay, I took it and took it. So one day we were all going down on a field trip for career class. I
right.
I bitch slapped this kid, and he and I got into a bit of a scuffle. We got broke up, and then
Yeah.
we became friends afterwards. That's how it always would happen. I would fight with him, and I'd become friends with him later.
Now, I do have a funny story from elementary school that you'll find funny.
Okay.
I participate in the Y after school in 4th and 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 5th grade, one of the counselors brings in Goosebumps for us
Oh
kids to
boy.
watch. And it was Night of the Living Dummy 3, which is
Mm-hmm.
known for being one of the most terrifying Goosebumps episodes.
Hey, it's
And
about that time of year.
we'll have to cover that episode next month. And it's a two-parter. Well, we get about halfway through it. No, almost through it. And I am just shaking with anxiety. And I go up to to the counselor that brought in the tape, who's just sitting in the back eating a Snickers bar, which surprisingly didn't make me sick with my food allergy. And I'm like, "Sir,
Hi.
I can't watch this anymore." And so I sat with him in the back for the rest of the day.
Oh man.
And then next week we had Scooby Doo, and it was Aloha Scooby Doo, which is a decent Scooby Doo film. And I'm like, no more Goosebumps? He's like, no, because you freaked out last week, we're not watching any more Goosebumps. I can't have that again. So one of my proudest moments is telling anyone involved with Goosebumps that I got Goosebumps banned for the rest of the school year in 5th grade.
Um,
I told it to the Slappy voice actor and the original Goosebumps illustrator. And the Slappy voice actor, he's like, "That's perfect. It's supposed to make you scared like that."
Now let me ask you this, Kyra. When that happened, did everybody torment you over that?
No,
And
because most of the kids were like in kindergarten, 1st through 2nd grade.
okay,
They were
so
just happy to get Scooby Doo.
so they were like, okay, so they were.
Now I got flack from the big kids who were my age. They're like, "You wuss, you couldn't handle Goosebumps." But the little kids were just happy to get Scooby Doo.
Oh yeah. Now if that would have been your boy Blind Metal Gamer, I would have been called worse than a wuss or something like that. They would have covered it up a lot more.
No, because this was the after school program, they weren't allowed to torment me too bad over it. Because even if it was me who got the show removed, it was the counselors that decided to not book Goosebumps for the rest of the school year.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, but I just was wondering if the older, So okay,
So, but to answer your question, yes, the older kids, no, the little kids.
okay. Now with me, what I was alluding to, I got kind of a funny story about back to school. So it was about, I would say, my June, maybe my freshman or sophomore year,
Uh-huh.
and I was still at the school for the blind, and we would always watch WWE. It was WWF back then, so
Yeah.
now WWE, and they were doing the angle where Vince, the angle, for those who don't know, the storylines in wrestling are called angles. Okay,
Yeah.
so they were doing an angle where Vince and Shane were at odds, and they were fighting each other and all this, and they
Which
were
is
leading.
typical of WWF, WWE,
Well, it was 1998. They were leading up into Survivor Series when they were going to turn The Rock heel.
Yeah.
So they were going to do that. They were working that angle, and there was an episode. It was where Vince and Shane were fighting, and the staff at the school for the blind saw this, and they made us cut it off or switch it to WCS. We had to watch WCW because WCW was the more family-friendly product at the time. So okay, we did that, and then they actually had to discuss amongst the staff whether or not to ban wrestling either altogether or uh, ban WWE at the time because of their more adult-oriented product. And luckily, the next week's episode of Monday Night Raw was not as offensive, so it got to stay and it did not get banned. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because if you thought Goosebumps flack was bad, that the flack that we would have gotten for having Raw banned, there was one kid who probably would have had Raw banned, and he was, I'll just say, different from Kaira and I as far as his abilities.
Yeah.
And he was the type that if you heard like any profanity, you had to kind of watch because he would either mimic it or it would offend him.
Yeah.
And he would have been the one to have gotten it banned.
Yeah.
But luckily
Now,
that didn't happen.
Now, something else I remember from school, we had a pot of gold from a leprechaun show up in our classroom after St. Patrick's Day in kindergarten.
Hmm.
That was funny.
Now, did the
Except,
leprechaun tell you to burn everything, lassie? Burn it all down to the ground.
no, he left chocolate coins. But of course, being the food allergy kid, I had to get Easter Skittles instead.
Hey, the leprechaun hooked you up.
Yeah, and then of course I remember in first grade, one of the kindergartners threw up all over the rug during recess,
Oh,
and so
God.
when I brought in a new board game from Christmas for the classroom, I looked at him square in the eye and I said, "So and so, you better not throw up again."
Oh, burn. Hard burn.
And he had the most pitiful first name ever. And I'll give you a hint. You can find the first name in a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, boy. Okay. Do I have any funny memory? Yeah, I do got a kind of a funny memory about back in my youth years that I do want to share.
Okay.
And then, I know we're talking about back to school. We'll circle back to that. We're just sharing memories. Uh, there was a kid in the primary class who was again different. He was a little douchebag. He would torment the girls, and he would try to do all this other bunch of stupid stuff. And he one day thought it would be funny to step to me, right?
Right.
So I had I was in the chair with my foot hanging out, right, just sticking out, and it got him below the belt area.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Ow, I got cancer there, yo." Well, you know what?
What?
I think he didn't like what he got because he never bothered me again.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to school. Do you have any advice for anyone who might be starting out either at school on any level or their post-secondary education? Any advice for anyone starting school this for the 2024-2025 academia year?
Well, for being in school, I'll just say don't be afraid to be yourself because at the end of the day, you're not going to see these people or be friends with them 20 years from now. Just make your own friendships as you go. As for post secondary education, please, please, please learn that you have to do your assignments and check in on the class and go to the class if you want to succeed. If you skirted through high school like I did, don't expect it to be the same in college. A lot of professors will chew you up and spit you out for not taking it seriously. I would know. I've been there multiple times.
Oh yeah. I would say my advice for anyone starting school this year would be don't slack off. Be respectful to all of your teachers or professors.
Well, yeah, that too.
Don't just be prepared to learn and have a good academic year full of academia and learning either at the grade school level or the higher education levels, post secondary.
And do extracurriculars. That's how I made friends in college.
Yes, if you have the opportunity to do an elective class, either in your high school years or your college years, I would say take it because it'll give you opportunities that you might not have been aware of.
Yeah, like me taking an elective for my original major in college got me into a less stressful path that got me out of school a year earlier when I needed it the most. And
And
it also got me to graduate with Dean's List twice.
you got to listen to angry Swedish death metal.
That is blind is actually true. So I actually took a color theory class in college. It was my first class. It was my first class as an art major. I mean, it was one of my first classes as an art major, and we had to create some work based off of genres of music. It was like Baroque, cyberpunk, Swedish death metal. What on earth was that?
Was
I
it
don't
black
remember what the
metal?
fourth one was.
Was it black metal?
No. Something classical. No, smooth jazz. It was jazz. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the worst part about it was she's like, I want you to listen to these genres of music to gain inspiration for this piece. So against my better judgment, I listened to Swedish death metal.
Oh
Uh,
God.
and when Blind and I tried dating when we met, we didn't meet until after I was done with college. We were talking about metal, and I'm like, oh yeah, I listen to metal. I listened to Swedish death metal for a class. Well, he starts talking my ear off. What all did you listen to? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And I'm like, hell if I remember. It was for a class.
I would have listened to it and been like, hey, professor, if you're cool with it, I'm going to figure out who this band is and I'm going to start diving deeper because I would have wanted to have dove a lot deeper into the music.
Yeah, no, you would have been listening to it to gain inspiration so that you could create a two-dimensional art piece that looked
No,
good.
I mean, after the art piece, I would have went to the professor and asked if I could
That would be
dive deeper.
She wouldn't have cared. She would have told you to do what you want.
Oh.
I mean, this is the same professor who had a sketchbook prompt of making a sculpture out of mashed potatoes.
Now that's interesting.
She had some really brilliant sketchbook ideas.
All right, so back to the back to school theme. So before we wrap up, do you have any words of wisdom for anyone who is going to be just starting out new, never done this? Any words of
Well,
wisdom as far as what they can expect?
Well, one thing I do want to say, this is not exactly about if you're new to school or not, but this is something I have to say. This is my PSA. If you're being bullied, don't put up with the bully's crap. Get your parents involved, get your teacher involved, get whoever you need to get involved, because that bully is insecure and weak and is picking on you because you're different. But please do not resort to physical violence or any other type of violence. I got suspended for a day for doing that. Don't be stupid like me.
Yeah, my advice would be for anyone starting out. Yeah, don't if you're being bullied, get the proper people involved. Get away from it. And if you can nip the problem in the bud, do that because it'll help you out in the long run.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if the bully doesn't disappear, you know what? There's 988.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yes.
support groups online. There are so many options to just escape from it outside of school. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, because you know what? Your girl Kyra, she got bullied so much in middle school. She cried every fucking day because those mean boys in school. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. One of those bullies was a girl. I made friends with her online years later because she realized she was a total piece of shit as a kid. And she's like, I can't believe you'd want to be friends with me after all I did. And I'm like, you were my bully? I thought you were my friend the whole time. I may
Hey,
have been a naive 13-year-old.
hey. I mean, that's funny how the world works. So yeah, just go to school this year. Be yourself. Be you. And if you need help, there is help out there. There's 988. There's plenty of options out there for you.
There's your teachers, your parents.
Professors.
Yeah. If most schools today have a school resource officer,
Mm-hmm.
like someone from like the sheriff's department or the police
Right.
department
Right.
or an independent security guard, don't be afraid to reach out to them. Um, to reach out to them, it's going to be okay. These are the best years of your life. Enjoy them. Even if you can't enjoy them during school, enjoy them outside of school. Be a teenager. Have fun.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Be yourself and express yourself the way you see fit and do your thing. Now, with that being said, we're going to bring this episode to a close. Kyra, would you like to tell them what we're going to be doing in October?
Same thing we do every year. We are going to be doing all things spooky. That will be Halloween candy, Halloween traditions, Halloween media, and of course, Blind will probably bring out one of his favorite passions, haunted houses.
Yep, we're going to do all things Halloween and all things spooky in the month of October.
Here's a
Until,
hint. A certain TV show episode, not one that I've mentioned in this episode, will be brought up because it tormented your girl Kyra for years as a kid.
all right, and I'll be bringing up my favorite Halloween episodes and whatnot in the episode that we're going to do next month for Halloween.
Oh, I'm
And
going to be talking about more than just that one. Trust me.
I got some up my sleeve too. But okay, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platform you choose to listen on, be it YouTube, Spotify, Castbox, wherever you consume your favorite podcast. This has been the Blindside Podcast. And for Kaira Super Saiyan, I've been your host, Blind Moto Gamer, saying until next time, and in the in between time, so long, everyone, and peace out.
This is Kyra Super Saiyan saying, stay golden, y'all.